Hello and welcome back to a Squirrel Plays. Today's episode is pretty special because this is the first time that we're actually going to be talking about squirrels. Can you believe it? It only took, about a year and almost 40 episodes? Which is honestly pretty sad for a channel called a Squirrel Plays. But hey, we made it, we're here, so let's do it. I wanted to share a very silly concept I had a little while back while talking to my buddy Craig about the mausritter ttrpg. A lot of you already know this, but he's been running a play-by-post of mausritter for a few months now, and things have been pretty great. For those of you that don't know, mausritter is a game where you play as mice. The time period can be wherever you want, but the mice themselves feel pretty medieval with their weapons being bows and various types of bladed weapons. But you will find things in the world that belongs to humans, such as abandoned cars and homes and whatnot, which will let you know what time period you're actually in. The group I'm running with has encountered a faction known as the Crimson Knights, and they're all squirrels. Or, well, most of them, I guess. There was a chipmunk that joined them. Whether or not they'll actually make her a full-on knight has yet to be seen. We made our way to their fort, which ended up being an old Maytag refrigerator, so that's cool, pun fully intended. And it was right about this point I started seeing memes circulate about squirrels being able to survive a fall from any distance. Not only do squirrels have some strong hind legs, but their tail and fur help them in their descent. Turns out squirrels are just built different. So one day me and Craig were chatting and it hit me. I said, dude, picture this. It's the mausritter world, or any type of world where the animals are the characters of the story. You have a large bird that can carry multiple squirrels, or maybe you get a flock of birds that can carry one each. They fly way high above enemy territory and drop the squirrels right smack dab in the middle of an enemy city or fort. No parachutes or anything needed, they just drop straight down. Everybody's minding their own business, and all of a sudden you hear thump, 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 and all of a sudden there's squirrels everywhere. But check this out, the squirrels have to bring the bare minimum with them to keep from weighing too much. So I would imagine they drop with just a single sword and that's it. But that also means being a drop squirrel is extremely dangerous because your odds of survival aren't particularly high due to the lack of equipment. Great way to get the drop, again, pun fully intended, on the enemy, but also very dangerous for yourself. In other words, you gotta be a little squirrely in the head to want to be in the drop squad. And oh my goodness, these puns, I'm gonna have to get a pun counter in the corner of something at this rate. So that was the initial idea. Then I decided, well, because I have nothing better to do apparently, I need to put this on some paper and see how it would play out in a world like mausritters. Now the first thing I had to ask myself was, how much can a bird carry? And according to the internet, the general rule of thumb is that a bird can carry about half its weight and still fly. Now you bird scientists out there can tell me how true or not that is. But let's say for the most part that is how it works. Seems like a decent enough rule for a world where mice are fighting each other with swords and bows, right? And the next question was, how much does a squirrel weigh? Well, come to find out, not much. Apparently a typical gray squirrel such as myself weighs about a whopping 1 pound. Honestly, I was expecting a little bit more. Maybe I just need to lay off the pizza. But anyway, pizza or no pizza, we have two important pieces of information here. Squirrels are about 1 pound, and a bird can lift up to half its weight. So the next thing is, how much does a bird weigh? Well, there's quite a few birds out there, so what type of feathery beast would be cool for this scenario? At first I was thinking owls because, hey, that's cool, but they're also very stealthy. They're also quite large at times, so surely they got a few pounds on them, right? They should be able to carry squirrels. Well, yes and no. Turns out the great horned owl is only about 3 pounds. So using this rule we have, he could only carry 1 squirrel. Not the worst thing in the world, but I was still pretty surprised. I guess you could have a whole bunch of owls flying in a group and carrying squirrels, but it really wasn't quite what I wanted. A snowy owl, on the other hand, is about 4.5 pounds. So he could maybe carry 2 squirrels. That would reduce the number of owls needed by, say about half. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of crossover between snowy owls and gray squirrels, or at least according to these two maps. The internet is bullshit. But look at this bad boy I found, a Blackiston's fish owl, and yes, I probably pronounced that wrong. This dude can be anywhere between 6 to 9 pounds and has a wingspan of 6.5 feet.
I always call it massive. Sometimes they say huge.
Unfortunately, he is only to be found in Russia, China, and somewhere in Japan. That said, I did go and look to see what kind of squirrels are in Russia, because how cool would a Russian squirrel death squad be, right? And you know what I found out? You crazies over there have a squirrel problem. Apparently people are going nuts, yes, pun intended again, for pet squirrels. Can't be doing that, man. You out there locking up my people and putting them in cages? Dude. But also, you have these little red squirrels, and you know how much they weigh? About half a pound. Little half-pound squirrels on a giant owl that's 6 to 9 pounds. So if the owl can carry half its weight and the squirrels are half a pound, so that means the owl can carry 6 to 9 squirrels at a time, right? And you know, they're Russian, so you know they're a bunch of strong lads. So, you know, I guess if your mausritter adventure was in the motherland, that would be pretty neat. But if you're somewhere else, might need something less extreme. That's when I had the idea about vultures, and I know you might be thinking, vultures, what? But just hear me out now. Just picture it. You have a little village or a city or whatever of rodents, and circling above them is a bunch of vultures. That's right. A bunch of vultures circling above a living city. That's not a good sign. And then all the squirrels hit the ground and chaos begins. Following the same rules, it would seem the standard American black vulture could carry 2 to 3 squirrels at a time. They are not small birds. I'm telling you, we got those things around here. You'll be driving down the road and one of them will be in the middle of the street nibbling on a snack, and they do not move, man. They just look at you and spread their wings out, and it reaches out about as wide as your truck. And I realize as I'm saying this, I'm really showing the southern side. But I digress. The arrangement works out for them because the squirrels drop down and kill everything, and then the vultures get to feast. It's brutal, man, I'm telling you. Just brutal. And really, I don't have much else to give you here. It was just a very silly idea I had while chatting with Craig, and I didn't want to keep it all to myself. So if you have a rodent-based world you're working on, that might be something to consider and use. Bunch of crazy murderous squirrels. There's also the vampire squirrel, or more properly known as the tufted ground squirrel. I kid you not, this thing kills deer. It does so by hanging around on low branches and goes for a deer's jugular so it'll bleed to death. And that's not even the crazy part. All it eats is the deer's stomach contents, liver, and heart. And you thought they were all just cute and fluffy little critters, didn't you? Vicious little killers is what they are. Anyway, shout out time. Let's give a shout out to old Franbizzle over here so I can show this DM I randomly got from her one day. And that's all the context you get. See you in the next one.